Campaign endorsements, the power of persuasive language. This will be a rhetorical analysis of a campaign endorsement by the Human Rights Campaign PAC for New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham for re-election in 2022. The Human Rights Campaign is a nonprofit that advocates for LGBTQ plus rights. Their endorsement is one of the most coveted in the political world. HRC endorses candidates that protect LGBTQ plus rights, and its endorsements could mean the difference between winning and losing in an election. Political campaigns often highlight their support for LGBTQ plus rights on their campaign literature, especially when trying to gain votes from the diverse community. One way they do this is through endorsements from the Human Rights Campaign. The purpose of this rhetorical analysis is to examine how political endorsements are persuasive devices used by political candidates to validate their campaign message, gain votes, and support from the populace, and become elected into office. This study will evaluate gubernatorial campaign endorsement material using the four principles of public address: ethos, pathos, logos, and kairos, to determine whether the candidate's language and argument has the persuasive power to influence voters' decisions on election day. A rhetorical analysis is the study and examination of an author's use of persuasive language. Political endorsements are a common example. Rhetorical analysis is necessary in politics because understanding the rhetorical analysis reveals how political candidates strategically use persuasive language in their campaign literature and how readers determine which candidate will be best representing them. The Human Rights Campaign endorsement of Governor Lujan Grisham for re-election is an example of how the use of persuasive language can be highly effective in conveying a message. The Governor Lujan Grisham was endorsed by the Human Rights Commission PAC because of her leadership in human rights and equality issues. She has championed crucial legislation to protect LGBTQ plus New Mexicans, including laws that make conversion therapy illegal and allow transgender people to correct their gender marker on birth certificates without surgery. Her administration has also put policies into place to help survivors to get out of poverty and stop the cycle of violence. The Human Rights Commission endorsement of Governor Lujan Grisham for re-election effectively highlights her work in securing human rights for marginalized populations. They highlight her success in passing important legislation, as well as the actions taken by her administration that reflect values of equality and social justice. In this way, they can successfully convey the reasons why they support Governor Lujan Grisham's re-election campaign while reinforcing the values with a clear message. The Human Rights Campaign endorsement of Governor Lujan Grisham for re-election is a clear example of the power of persuasive language. The sentence from the statement reads, "While extremist politicians across the country attempt to roll back critical protections for LGBTQ plus Americans, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham has proven to be a pro-equality champion for all New Mexicans." The HRC endorsement then goes on to by three reasons why they believe she should be reelected. One, she advocates for LGBTQ rights. Two, she signed an executive order to collect LGBTQ plus data from state agencies. And three, she ensured all LGBTQ plus New Mexicans had access to government programs and services. These 3 points show how Lujan Grisham's campaign can use ethos, logos, pathos, and kairos as a means of persuasion. The first point, advocating for pro-equality policies, appeals to ethos through promises that Lujan Grisham has been at the forefront of advocating on behalf of LGBTQ people. Promising action on behalf of another group offers strong evidence in establishing credibility because it suggests that you have acted with integrity when dealing with them before. This The second point, signing an executive order to collect data on LGBTQ plus individuals in state agencies, uses logos because it speaks to her capability and duty as governor. Her action goes beyond simple lip service, but ensures state agencies are accumulating information to provide services that will meet the needs of New Mexicans regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. The third point, ensuring all LGBTQ plus New Mexicans have access to critical government services and programs, is also effective rhetoric due to its appeal to pathos. By showing concern and empathy for the health and welfare of all New Mexicans, she demonstrates emotional intelligence, which is essential in leadership. It's also important to take a closer look at the endorsement and evaluate for logical fallacies and bias. First, the HRC website claims that Lujan Grisham has earned a 100 score from the HRC for each of her 3 terms in Congress. However, this sentence also contains a logical fallacy called an argument from authority. The authority being cited is not unbiased. The HRC is notably historically associated with the same political party as the governor. Another flaw found in the statement is lack of specificity. Governor Lujan Grisham might have had other reasons to acquire a collection of LGBTQ plus data. For example, data is a commodity. She may have been pressured by lobbyists or donors with interests unrelated to civil rights or legislation on LGBTQ issues. And finally, there is some confirmation bias found in this endorsement because the author praises Governor Lujan Grisham without any critical analysis or opposing opinions. For example, the sentence Governor Lujan Grisham has championed LGBTQ plus rights for her 3 years in Congress does not mention any efforts made by other politicians before, during, or since her term in Congress. In conclusion, political endorsements by organizations use persuasive language, but also may contain logical fallacies and bias. When reading these endorsements, it's important to examine the credibility of the organization making the endorsement, as well as recognize that persuasive argument may contain logical fallacies or may be biased. Organizations make their endorsements for many reasons. However, at times they are influenced by interests such as fundraising. Whether the reader believes an endorsement is trustworthy or not will depend on how much they have in the endorsing organization. To judge how convincing an endorsement might be, it's best to look at the reasoning and evidence rather than merely trusting its authors because of who they are.